Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a somewhat different live stream. Today, we are actually starting out in big mark mode, which I don't do too often. To be quite honest, I don't think I've actually done unboxings for a year or more. I know I've done it for when I got my iPhone 15 Pro Max and with it fine woven cases, which unfortunately I actually cannot find my old blue fine woven case. But yes, over a week before the official release date of the iPhone 17 Pro Max, I'm sitting in front of you with my TechWoven case, Apple's second. Okay, looks like my stream is working. That's nice. Don't know why it always has this delay. That's not how I set my YouTube settings. Guess it's just the connection latency from OBS. But yes, I'm sitting in front of you with my TechWoven case. This is in blue. Wait, does this have a different name? No, it's just blue. Okay, I'm getting confused by Apple's coloring schemes because in like on any other Apple product, I would call this like midnight blue, and I mean the iPhone 17 Pro Max is like called deep blue, and obviously before that we had titanium blue. Now this one, I'm actually reporting on this without having any prior knowledge on how this performs or not. So I think that when I got my fine woven case, first reports started coming out that it's not that it doesn't perform too well, that it's not too resilient. And I will be putting this a tiny bit to the test, but actually I would prefer to just wear it on my iPhone for a while. Don't want to destroy it. It's actually 70 euros. So this is actually pretty expensive for a non-leather case in that regard. So again, I will destroy it probably over time, especially if it's actually bad and I get myself a second case. But for now, I think I'll prefer to do a regular unboxing and just enjoy it together with you guys. I see already Riley and Rosa in the stream saying hello. Riley saying, bro bought the case before the phone. Yeah, that's how it works often with Apple. Accessories are often available before the actual phone or iPad or Mac gets on sale. Chip Talk is nice though. Well, I'm at least glad you're looking forward to that, Riley. You guys can also see in the chat I posted some ways to support the channel or just to grow our community. Discord, Super Chats, Patreons. You know the drill. We call it the YouTube jazz around here. I don't have to remind you. Ayan joining the chat. Hello. Saying what's up. Well, this is what's up, but we do have actually other topics later to talk about. We do have more benchmarks when it comes to the A19 Pro chip. We have a little bit about the Dimensity 9500. We have ARM presenting completely new CPU and GPU cores and the new chipset design. So there's actually quite a lot going on, given the fact that we are now 2 days removed from the from the Apple event. And also a special shout out to Omar and Berg, who were two lovely. They're both guys, but I think I can call them lovely. That's still a compliment, right? Who were really, really great in the Apple Store when I came to pick them up. I also have a picture of them, but I'm not allowed to show it, unfortunately, because Apple does not allow their employees to be involved in like external marketing, right? So it would be kind of like them supporting me or like me supporting Apple with like kind of like implying I might be paid or anything like that. So shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for the amazing service. Guys, go to the Apple Store in Berlin. That's the one am Kurfürstendamm. There's another one on the Rosenthaler Straße. So great stores here, great personnel. Yeah. 17 is too bad. Just look, the design is almost the same. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about that. If you think this is a channel that gives a fuck about triangular cameras or non-triangular cameras, buddy, you're just in the wrong place here. I always prefer a good design and then improving the functionality. I prefer that on my Macs. I prefer that on my iPad. I mean, by that logic, iPads haven't changed since 2018, really. And iPhones, well, actually, iPhones wouldn't have changed that much since 2019, but even then, I would actually more argue for no, for 2020, right? For the iPhone 12 redesign. So I would, by that logic, actually, the iPhone design is newer than the iPad design, and in many ways, the thicker, more modern, more port endowed MacBook Pros, like the 14-inch M1 Max MacBook Pro that I use, those haven't changed now since their inception. They won't until like sometime early 2027. Tamara joining saying this one is probably better than my iPhone 13 and laughing. Probably, yeah, but again, I always, these are a few things that maybe for newcomers to my channel I should mention before I go to the actual unboxing. Feels like I am teasing you guys, but that's really not my case, not the case, just reacting to what I'm seeing. This is not a channel that makes fun of anyone for older hardware, or this is not a channel that says all Android is crap. But this is also not a channel who will deny Apple its successes. Like, I have wanted an aluminum unibody iPhone back since the iPhone 7 days. So the fact that it looks similar because it's still in a similar shape, that to me means absolutely nothing. That criticism can go jump out of the window for all I care. So I welcome everyone, no matter what iPhone you have or any other phone. If you're interested in technology, we do not cover exclusively Apple stuff here, though we are mostly focused on Apple. And by we, I mean I, but I get lonely calling myself just I. So I say we. And Tharu asking, what do I think about the iPhone Air? I think it's honestly, and I hate to admit it because I really dislike some of the compromises there. I hate the lack of a bottom speaker, for example, but I think it's the most gorgeous piece of smartphone hardware in years and years and years, no matter the manufacturer. I don't care that it's this thin. It's the thinness that invites this gorgeous look to me, and I don't know why. It's in a way that the Galaxy S25 Edge definitely doesn't do, and even with a glossy side rails, this was not the same prettiness that I ever got from like the stainless steel iPhones in the past. Tomorrow I was looking for the 17 Air. Well, it's not called 17 Air, small correction, right? It's just the Air. But you're more impressed by the Pro series? Well, that makes a lot of sense. I think honestly that is probably gonna apply to most people because there is just more and better hardware in the Pros. I would also argue if you're coming from a 13, there is a lot to like. Like if you're coming from a 13, like a non-Pro or whatever, you never had ProMotion or anything. Looking now at the base 17, that one is sneakily not just good value, but also it's just a good device. And it also, by this point, it has larger screen, 6.3 versus 6.1 inches, gets bright, larger batteries, faster performance, obviously, Apple Intelligence support, way newer modems across Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and 5G. Yeah, so whatever you like, and then hey, you can come back to the channel once you fully decided. And of course, you are free to ask questions about my recommendations. Hell, I myself, as you can see, obviously am buying the 17 Pro Max, so I fully understand why you might connect more to the Pro series. But that's about for all the pre-babbling, because yes, I am known for my babbling. I do like that these are now pretty toolless, like you don't need a knife or anything, but now that everything is paper and not plasticky, it doesn't feel quite as satisfying. I do understand the argument about protecting the earth and everything, but man, that more plasticky feel, that was special, thorough. What is the difference between iPhone Air A19 Pro versus the Pro's A19 Pro? The Air has one fewer GPU cores, and that's it. It will sustain performance far less, so the Air versus the Pros, but that's because of the overall device. Beyond that, they are using the same amount of memory, 12 gigabytes. That's versus the base model that's still on 8 gigabytes. We aren't sure if there are any difference in like storage speeds or memory bandwidth, though I assume they probably are not. And the A19 Pro, even if you look at the 5-core GPU version, that one differs primarily from the base A19 by having more cache on the E-core, so on the L2 level cache, last level cache, as Apple called it in their event. That actually helps with the efficiency. So that's one of the factors that makes the Air, despite being more powerful, actually more efficient than the base 17. Beyond that, there are some chip differences across the rest of the product. You get DN1 Apple-designed Wi-Fi and Bluetooth modem across the entire lineup. That's Wi-Fi 7. We do not know if it supports 320 megahertz, so that's the fastest Wi-Fi 7, which roughly doubles bandwidth. I mean, depends on the exact implementation, but that's how you should think about it. It also has Bluetooth 6, so that's the latest Bluetooth standards. So it's been quite a while that Apple has been super aggressive in adopting the latest Bluetooth standards, but now that they're building their own modem, they seem to be getting more aggressive about it. And the main difference when it comes to chips from the Air to all other models is actually the C1X. So the C1X is Apple's own, not quite second generation, but like 1.5 generation 5G modem. We first saw the C1 in the iPhone 16e, and now Apple promises roughly double the speed for the C1X. The other models are still powered by some version of Qualcomm. We do not know if it's still the same C71 or some version of the C75 or 80, or is it X? No, I think it's X75 and X80, right? The C is, of course, for Apple's modem. Sorry, I got that confused. So how this one exactly compares to the Qualcomm modems, I cannot tell you. Tests have shown that the C1 is more efficient than even the latest generation C1 modems that were paired with the 8 Elite. We'll have to then compare the C1X to like the newest modems on the 8 Elite 2, and of course, whatever is coming to the Pro iPhones. What was your first impression to the 17 series? If you can choose one of these, what will you choose? Well, I have chosen. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. German time, I am ordering the 17 Pro Max that's fitting this case. I am, however, really impressed by the base model. Now, again, I've told you guys, I do think the Air is absolutely gorgeous, and I am impressed, for example, by the battery life gains of the 17 Pro, right? Because that one got a disproportionately bigger battery increase than the Pro Max. So, but the base model in terms of value, it is $800, but it is 256 gigabytes. It is a new chip and everything. Basically, its only real downside, if you're really nerdy about it, that's it's 8 gigs of RAM versus 12 gigabytes. Yes, it does have a smaller sensor on the main camera, but honestly, that's not as big of a difference as one might think, because the sensor in the base model actually has some sensor trickery, some newer generation tech than the bigger sensor on the Pros. Plus, the aperture is actually larger on the base 17, so it's f1.6 versus f1.78 on the Pros. So technically, in lighting, they're about the same. What makes the Pros really better is that they have more like a better optical system. So there are more lenses that focus the light onto the sensor, and that's what makes images mostly sharper on the Pro than on the base model. But beyond that, they have the same ultra wide. So in terms of cameras, your only really big difference, well, for one, there are some Pro features, right? Like Pro RAW, ProRes, now ProRes RAW, log recording, Gen lock, I think it's for like tuning device, for basically like multi-stream recording. So there's obviously stuff, but I am very excited to be able to just tell people, buy the base model, save yourself some money, feel for once that Apple actually offers pretty cool value, and enjoy. Yeah, guys, I've been babbling now for so long. Thank you so much for joining. If you are enjoying this, please hit the like button. That helps me tremendously. That helps us attract new people. You guys can also find, of course, I put it into the live chat, like some ways to support the channel. Please consider joining our Discord. Consider leaving a super chat or super sticker, or becoming a channel member or a Patreon supporter. So much you can do, or just watch, just enjoy, just like. Everything helps. Tharu saying, I want performance, but I don't have money for pro models and I don't want cameras. I like to buy Air. Well, the Air, unfortunately, is really not cheap. And the Air is not really gonna sustain performance that well. To be honest, I cannot really promise you that the Air will be notably faster than the base model in most scenarios. Like, just, it uses titanium, which is worse than aluminum for cooling. It's way thinner. It doesn't even have like that much of a larger surface area because it's 6.5 inches versus 6.3 inches. It's not really gonna make the device overall like way better at letting all the heat out into the universe, like what the iPads are really good at, right? The iPads are aluminum unibody, so they have a great material for heat dissipation, but they are also pretty big just in terms of surface area in comparison to an iPhone. This is why iPads, even something like the iPad Air, deals somewhat okay with an M series chip, which has obviously double the power draw, double the heat of like a base A series chip. Now the Air still will throttle a little, but honestly that's because Apple doesn't use great thermal conductivity materials, but that's a very different discussion. I think for raw performance, you will be happy with the entire A19 series, and I will later talk a little bit more about the performance, about the A19 and how it performs. iPhone 17 base model or 16 Pro, to be honest, I would say 17 base. I would say 17 base. It has newer Wi-Fi, newer Bluetooth, probably has a new 5G modem. It definitely promises more battery life. It now has the same size screen. It's LTPO just as the Pro. I mean, yes, you will lose a little bit on the cameras, but you're probably saving money. You're definitely even like smaller in weight and everything. I might just say if they're the exact same price, honestly, I could leave it up to you in terms of like aesthetics and things like that. But for everything else, I would say, look, if you can get it for like $100 less than the last year's Pro, I think at that point, the base 17 is more attractive than the 16 Pro. It's actually quite a nice generational jump. For example, like this 37,000 point, almost 38,000 point GPU number, that's iPhone Air and base iPhone 17, right? The Pros last year maxed out at 37, maybe 33,000 points. So across the board, they will actually be faster for CPU and GPU tasks. And the base model has 8 gigs of RAM, which is what all iPhone 16 models maxed out on. So while you might lose out on the 12 gigs of RAM of a 17 Pro, you're not doing any downgrading versus a 16 Pro. Guys, though, I do have to return to the actual topic before the light changes so much that I become impossible to look at. So I apologize for having only one camera. I usually have a second phone to record with, but I did have some technical issues, and the other good stuff that I use, unfortunately, I don't have access to. Don't ask me. That's some personal shit. So let's continue. So that's TechWoven. That's Apple's second generation attempt at replacing leather in their lineup. It's priced like leather. I am wearing a blue shirt to match the vibe of this accessory. Just pulling off this tab, allows you to pull this up. So there are, I think, not really big surprises here. You can immediately see that the camera actually struggles to maintain all the detail of this fabric. How does this feel? Because fine woven felt very denim-like to me, like very jeans-like material. This one is actually quite unique. I would almost say it feels a little bit like leather, or like snake leather imitation material. I don't wear snake leather, believe me. So before we get to the actual case, which I'm actually liking somewhat, I did not expect it. After the disaster that was fine woven, we do get just some of the material in here, like a little bit of cardboard. Yeah, so there's nothing more to show actually, well, except the actual case. Now I should note, everything you see here will be a little bit brighter than it is in the real world. So this is a pretty deep, pretty dark blue. You can decide for yourself if you like that. Obviously, there are other colors in the lineup. Also, fascinatingly, not available for non-pro models. So Apple apparently is really pushing their silicone materials. And like just in general across the board, and it feels like this is Apple's like careful attempt to put out another material that's not leather because of environmental concerns and moral concerns, and it's also of course their next thing after fine woven. To be honest, it's not if you wanted something that really feels like leather, this is not it. The buttons are great from what I can feel. It also isn't what I like. This is one thing that I really like about Apple's own solutions, but you can find it on some others, is that you actually get a camera control. Like, this is basically like an extension of the sensor area for a camera control. This is not like an empty area where like a camera control just slides in. The reason why I hate when people do that is because obviously camera control is not a protruding button. So if your case were to just end here and leave an empty spot, then you would have to push first into the case basically before you reach camera control. And camera control already isn't the easiest button to reach. Also, this reflects the light really pretty. It also has a very nice symmetry here with the power button, right? That's also what genuinely appeals to me with this design of camera control and power button. I know they're not like perfectly 50-50 symmetrical, but that's close enough. I still understand that Apple obviously has hardware to put into what's now the plateau inside here. I'm also pleasantly surprised to see that the actual bump of the plateau is not egregious. Now I know I guess that was my first durability testing of it, but it's not really egregious. Like, when you look at it here from the side profile, right, you can see, yeah, sure, it protrudes, but I guess making the iPhone just thicker, going from 8.25 millimeters to 8.725, honestly, I think that was the right decision. Jesus, what's wrong with me? For one, it allowed for a larger battery inside the device, right? That's not even to mention, of course, maybe that also helps with durability, because now switching from titanium to aluminum, maybe they needed to make the aluminum a little bit thicker than the titanium. That's not even to mention the switch from a metal side rails to a full, basically metal unibody construction with some glass on top. So the fact that it's not actually like close to a centimeter thick even, honestly is quite impressive. Yes, could the battery be even larger if Apple went to a technology like silicon carbon? Obviously, I'm not denying that. But yeah, this is a good case for what I think will be a good feeling device. Even with my iPhone 15 Pro Max hanging up there to record myself, I can tell you already that it's very comparable to my 15 Pro Max in feel. This is the clear case for my old iPhone 13 Pro Max. My mom eventually got my 13 Pro Max, but she didn't want the clear case, so I just kept it around here. And you can see that they don't, like, sure, the camera bump is a lot different and everything, but in so many different things they're just extremely similar in size and shape. And I know some people will hate it. They will claim that there's no innovation at Apple to keep devices looking so similar and so predictable in a way, but to me, it also just means that if somebody potentially comes from like an iPhone 13 Pro Max, well, you will actually be surprised that this device with an even larger screen, way larger battery and everything is just a tiny bit larger in terms of height and width, but it's actually 7 grams lighter than your iPhone 13 Pro Max. And the case itself is actually pretty light too. Now, is it that going to be a big game changer in any way? No. It's also not going to replace materials like if you know, for example, companies like Pitaka who make aramide fiber cases, so carbon fiber cases. That's obviously going to have its own appeal for being super durable. Yeah, I was thinking of sprinkling some water on top of it. I can do that, right? Like, it's not... should get my fingers more wet. So... with the fine woven, it showed some results right away. Like, fine woven actually absorbed water, which obviously isn't great because that, like, some absorption is obviously fine, but the question is it in any way that actually like destroys the structure of the material? See, it's wet, but it's not really absorbing it. Janis, you're asking, is the clear case elastical or hard plastic? It's kind of in the middle. No, it's not. No, it's hard plastic, but it's not. It's definitely not elastic in the sense that you can actually like form it. I know what you mean. I had one like that back actually in the iPad 2 days, but no, this one is hard plastic, but it's not easy to crack, right? It's not overdone in terms of hardness. You can see it's a little bit wet. It doesn't actually feel like it's in any way ruining the material. I mean, that's not a super big test, right? I mean, I am liking the feel. Again, this is not, I'm not even sure if it's really like, in the beginning I said it's a little bit like snake leather. I really probably would take it back at this point. It just has more texture, but overall it still feels very similar to fine woven. Like, fine woven was just more soft. This actually feels like, and I mean, you can see that with the camera obviously, right? You see like these patterns, like almost like lines. That's because they're like, this has a very fine texture and the camera is just like struggling to get all that detail. But overall, I'm actually surprised. I'm liking this. Again, don't also forget, this looks brighter than it is going to look for you in the real world. But so if you are interested in the actual colors, maybe go to an Apple store and find out. Also, one thing I actually forgot. So we have these lanyard openings, right? So that way you can actually connect accessories like Apple's body strap-on band thingy, which is really silly, but hey, I know a lot of people actually wear it like that, especially in Asian countries. And in a move surprisingly friendly, well, obviously the reason why it has both, right, it's because the body strap connects to both ends, right? Otherwise it just wouldn't work. Your iPhone wouldn't really, really wouldn't be fixed in place. It just would be constantly moving around. But that way it's also just more friendly if you just... I'm actually not sure how well it would work with like a lot of lanyard stuff, because it would have to be extremely thin to basically just go in, right, but not interfere with the iPhone, because obviously the fit inside is very tight. So that will be interesting to test. Actually, I'll try that out once I actually have my iPhone, because obviously without having the iPhone, that kind of negates the concerns that I just mentioned. No, 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 no. No, Jan, oh my god, my buddy. Oh, my friend. I'm so sorry. You're saying you want the clear case? Well, sorry, sucker, said Tim Cook for no reason whatsoever, because we went from this beautiful clear case design that just had this somewhat extravagant ring, right? That's obviously for MagSafe. And Apple went a completely baffling direction where somehow for the iPhone 17 Pro, where are the accessories? There they are. Also, I need to take a drink because I am becoming dehydrated. Cheers, guys. You know I need my caffeine. How many days till iPhone 17 launch? Gamer Life 4, 5, 6, 8. Tomorrow is pre-order time. You can actually check the Apple Store app to see when pre-order time starts in your area. But beyond that, the iPhone comes out next Friday. So is it likely that it's all gonna be sold out? I mean, depends a little bit on the model. I think the Air might be, because I have no idea how many Apple has produced. But otherwise, feel free to go to a store, see if they have any supply. I mean, that's of course if you're even interested in getting one. So this is this is TechWoven. I'm sorry if I ever call this FineWoven. That's because FineWoven is on my brain. So this is the crossbody strap, really highly priced. Unfortunately, you can see these connectors to what are these little holes. And in terms of marketing, I actually like this marketing. It reminds me of like the old iPod silhouette ads. But that's not actually what I was trying to show you, because for you, Jan, you said you want the clear case because you say you want people to see the orange. Well, I almost don't want to show you because I feel like such an asshole. Where is it? Wait, is Apple not featuring it? Is there any games? Well, yeah, of course are there games on iPhone 17. Like just recently, Hitman World of Assassination got a port for iOS, iPadOS. It's soon also gonna be available on the Mac. So that's a full AAA game. You also get like Resident Evil games ported, stuff like Death Stranding. Beyond that, of course, you get all the mobile games that you're familiar with, from everything like Angry Birds to more demanding stuff like Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves and stuff like that. Plus, with Apple's now more relaxed App Store policies, you also get things like emulators on the App Store. You don't get PC emulation like you get on Android. But for example, if you want your GBA DS games, I'm not mentioning the name of the company that made those devices, or a PSP thing or whatever, you will also find emulators for that. But Jan, oh my god, buddy, I've forgotten what I wanted to show you. Also, by the way, in a very weird move, Apple is now treating FineWoven almost like leather in that regard. Like, they are still making this, but only for like the AirTag shit and for MagSafe wallets, right? Like that attach like that. So if you actually really like the material of TechWoven, you cannot get like a MagSafe wallet in this material. It's only still FineWoven, which is weird. Wait, where is the clear? You know what? I'm just looking for it at this point. Apple is pissing me off. They're hiding it. They know how bad it is. Clear case. Jesus Christ. So, Jan, you said you want people to see the orange. Well, do you want them to see the orange and white? Because yes, for some baffling reason, this is the clear case for the iPhone 17. That's MagSafe. That's a white ring around the Apple logo and an alignment magnet down below. This is the clear case for iPhone Air, which Guess what? It has an Apple logo in the center, and then a white ring above it, and then an alignment magnet down below. Guess what? That applies to every fucking clear case until we move to the one for the 17 Pros. Because you know how the 17 Pros have like this color area? Well, it's not actually a color area, it's glass, because everything about the Pros is colorful. But you have white here where you have your silver version, you have a slightly different shade of orange when you have the cosmic orange one, and you have a slightly lighter, maybe even slightly like grayer blue tone on the deep blue one. So the color people will actually see is the color of the metal, but instead of letting people see the color of the glass, which matches, in my opinion, at least on the blue one, the color of the metal pretty well, Apple decided for some baffling reason to cover it just up universally with white, which kind of makes sense on the silver version. Though I have made the argument that I think that these, for example, like the antenna lines on it should have been white, just to better match everything. But then it's white. And even here, right, like, does it have a look from the side? Like, you have this white circle around camera control on a potentially device that's designed to be like deep blue and dark and emotive. And suddenly you combine this dark blue with this like white area. And yeah, the Apple logo is not in the center. It's in the center of this rounded rectangle. But I have no idea what Apple thought about. Like, this is just differentiation for the sake of differentiation. Everyone would have understood if they would have just kept the MagSafe ring there. I don't know what they were thinking. I have no idea if this has any other use case, if maybe this helps with antenna transparency or cooling in some way, though I really doubt it does. I really think this is just Apple trying to treat this as separate and special from the rest. And this is why I, like, if you want an Apple accessory, I did not expect to be saying this when I started the stream, but honestly, I do recommend this one. Also, looking actually at OBS, because obviously, I mean, I have eyes here, but there's too much light. It's actually resulting in me not being able to see. But yeah, the water itself did 0 damage to the case, which is not surprising. This is still designed for iPhones that are, of course, IP68. In fact, iPhones are actually way above the average needs for an IP68 certification. So it makes sense that their cases would have at least some level of water resistance to not entirely negate the point of having an IP68 phone. But this actually feels nice. The more I feel it, the texture makes it actually really grippy. There is still this contrast between. I do have to make the camera bigger now. There is still similar to the fine woven, like the material on the sides is notably different than the material on the back and obviously on the inside. I am a fan of that though. It feels natural. Like the transition between those slightly different feels of TechWoven. So I'll guess I'll give it an actual try with my incoming iPhone 17 Pro Max next week, and I'll let you know how it performs. And maybe I'll even use my key. Well, I can like do at least like a nail test. Like I'm not jerry-rig everything. I'm not gonna do like I might actually look up. Maybe Jerry is already like ripping apart some cases, but at least these nails do not seem to hurt it. Maybe you have diamond nails, or if you're suffering from Wolverinitis, maybe yours will, but that might be a very different discussion for your doctor. And I think now I can make myself smaller again. Sorry for the whiplash between big mark and small mark and medium mark in the transition phase. Yeah, this was actually quite fun. I'm actually quite happy about this. Hope you're enjoying this too. Let me know what you're thinking of it. Just design wise, obviously, unfortunately, through the camera. Oh, that's one last test. Okay, it does not smell like leather. It does not taste like anything. It's just like it's a more premium form of plastic or just a recycle. Well, I'm actually not sure if it's a recycled material, though I'm pretty sure it should be given Apple's focus on this. Um, but it's not leather. It's not an animal material. It's not a material that often comes with some ethical concerns. Again, I do think that if you are for meat, like if you eat meat, if you aren't fully vegan, I have a hard time understanding anti leather attitudes because with how many cows are being killed, you kind of want every part of the cow to be used, so might as well utilize their skin as well. But if you are fully vegan, or if you're at least very, very low meat consumption levels, then yeah, I do understand why you would want to not participate in these kinds of industries, or at least not support them directly. Um, but that's about it for the actual case stuff. Hope you learned something because we do have more stuff to talk about. Yesterday, we talked about the benchmarks of Apple's A19 and A19 Pro chips. So 18.1, that's the Pro iPhones. 18.2, that's the Pro Max iPhones. So this is why these devices received the largest scores. We are also seeing some results that are even higher than the 45657 that we saw yesterday. That's for the GPU. In fact, now we do have results that are basically exactly 46,000, right? Once you are at 45,995, you're very much hitting margin of error territory. Probably if you're gonna like put your iPhone under over a giant fan, it will probably cool it enough to go even a little bit over 46,000. So that's very nice. I just saw Ben Veni try to type something. Oh, by the way, guys, we've been now streaming for a little bit. Want to remind you about the YouTube jazz again. Try not to be too bothersome, but subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, and if you want to support me directly, consider leaving a super chat or a super sticker. That way I am guaranteed to read out your chat, give you some attention if you like that. You can also become a channel member right here on YouTube. Shout out to our MarkTech Pro Max members. None of them online today. Usually we have at least one. Angelica, Max, Maximus, Steve, and Jonathan. And shout out to our MarkTech Pro Max supporter over on Patreon, because yes, you can also become a supporter over on Patreon. Shout out to Ben Veni, who just joined the chat, saying, you doing unboxing for case that you will use in 2 weeks. Well, no, don't curse it. I will use it in exactly 1 week and half a day, because I am getting my phone on the fucking 19th, in the earliest hour of the day, in the exact configuration that I want. No, don't jinx it. But yeah, I mean, I do that from time to time, right? Sometimes accessories launch separate from the actual devices. So 46,000 points in Geekbench 6. If you compare that to roughly between 32 to 33,000, now 32,000 being a little bit more representative, but if we are just being generous and just do some quick math, that's a 39% improvement, so 40% improvement in GPU performance. That is amazing. Castaway Army 32 saying, I want the orange color, guys, and Pro Max. Well, I hope you can get it. I think that I am not a big fan of the cosmic orange, but I do understand its appeal. It has been quite a while since premium iPhones have had anything resembling such a vibrant color. And to be honest, we never had something quite this vibrant on iPhone. like I guess maybe in the iPhone 5C era or something like that. But then we're obviously not talking about premium iPhones. So 46% uplift. You also see here almost 38,000. So previous 5-core GPU A18s maxed out at roughly 27,000. This now being closer to 38,000. That's a similar 36 to 38% increase. That's great. We've covered all of that mostly yesterday. So mainly the new big result is this exact 46,000 number. For the CPU, we actually getting one big change. First is we do get a result that is very, very close. Wait, where is it? Oh, that is closer to 4,000, basically exactly 3,900. And we do have a wait, no, there it is. Yeah, a 3960. I don't know why. Oh my God, my brain completely skipped over this one. So we do have a result that's almost 4,000 points in single core. That is something that actually lines up well with what I've told you guys yesterday, which is that results like these are basically wrong results. They suggest that basically the device was doing something else in the background. Something was eating up memory bandwidth, cache amount, or the device was already preheat soaked for some reason. And then I said we would see more results closer to 10,000 points. So this is how we got these results. I also said we would see more results way over 3,600, so more in the 3,800 to 3,900 range. Of course, on the pros, that means also hitting close to 4,000. And actually a result that quite surprised me a little bit to see is we are seeing a result quite a little over 10,000. So if you guys don't know, the 8 Elite Gen 5 or 8 Elite 2, whatever it's going to be called, the Exynos 2600. These devices target a little over 11,000, maybe close to 12,000. Very likely they will probably consume quite a bit more energy to get there. Apple now has more cooling, but given Apple's track record, I doubt they actually want your device to sustain more than 6, 7, 8 watts. They just don't want it to start burning up. And obviously it will mean that in scenarios where your previous iPhone might have to drop down to throttle itself down to something like 4 watts, sometimes even lower, especially if like your screen consumes a lot of energy or it's a very hot day at the same time. Well, now your iPhone suddenly sustains 40% or more sustained power consumption from the actual chip. Ben is saying, please watch Jerryrigeverything about Pixel. He posted 3 hours ago. I will save up the money to travel to Japan and America next year to get eSIM only if they don't bring it to the UK. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I understand that. I've had some similar feelings, unfortunately. Honestly, if it were available in at least some other European country, I would have probably just traveled there and gotten it there. But it's only available in like United States and like United States adjacent territories like the Virgin Islands, and then you have like a lot of like rich Gulf Arab states like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates that are getting this, and I believe like Kuwait, countries like that, which is an interesting choice by Apple. I've seen people make the argument that maybe it's not coming to the EU that way because of regulations, but that would also ask some question about why it's not coming to the United Kingdom. But yeah, who knows? It's unfortunate. We are basically like leaving like 5% more battery life on the table. Well, at least those of us who are buying this year. But what can you do? I'm not really in the mood to contact family and have them import to me like an iPhone from America right now. I do want to get the iPhone day one because honestly, I want to enjoy my tech stuff as much as I can in September because October is going to get a lot busier for me. So that I can deal with those 5% less battery life. Now, a lot of chip talk. Obviously, yesterday we had a lot more chip talk. Let me also look into your Jerryrigeverything reference. Guys, if you really want to force me something to watch something, you always can send a super chat, a generous one that will force me to give you some of my time, because I am a whore in that way, I guess. No, I'm just a streamer. I'm just the occasional hobby streamer, and I do appreciate some extra money so I can put more time and effort into this hobby. But obviously, I'll still do stuff with you that's interesting to you, because I still care about you guys. Benveni saying 2 hours less of battery. Well, that's 2 hours on the absolute high end, where you get like 39 hours of video watching. You're probably not getting 39 hours in general. So if it just lasts you through the day, even better than before, that's honestly all I need. So even if I decide to suddenly play a game, like a demanding game, or I decide to have my display way brighter than I usually do, then yeah, I don't really think that I will ever feel those 5% difference, but my heart will feel that. But I guess my heart will also have to go on and ignore that to a degree, so it doesn't get too sad. um what was I doing? Oh, speaking of chip stuff, we do not just get new benchmark for the A19 Pro. uh Castaway Army saying you can pick between both in the UK. That what? iPhone 17 eSIM countries? What? Is that true? I have like a lot of viewers from the UK. I mean, this is a German website, but maybe Germans will actually write about it more, because yeah, Canada. That's because Canada and Mexico, those are basically. I don't see that it's being available in the United Kingdom. I'm not sure you're getting this right. You can on EE UK. Peter Parker joined the chat. Hello to you. eSIM UK EE. EE, the UK's best network to offer new iPhone lineup. Apple Watch SE3, Apple Watch Ultra, roam abroad, simply set up with eSIM. Do you wait? Are you actually saying wait? Because I'm not talking about eSIM availability. I'm saying the models that are eSIM only, the ones without a physical SIM card tray, the ones that have larger battery life, network boost. Wait, what? It would be a separate article, not by EE. Are eSIM only in these countries to offer new iPhone? Do you have old phones? Well, I have a 15 Pro Max. No, I'm not talking about them being. Oh, that's Peter Parker. I apologize. I thought you were. Go eSIM only. What it means for users. Buy iPhone. I'm not. Guys, did you misunderstand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I'm talking about eSIM support. My iPhones have support. In Germany, my carriers have supported eSIM for 5 years. Yeah, I cannot find it. It would be really weird. You can choose between SIM cards and eSIMs, but that's very different between being able to choose between an iPhone with a physical SIM card tray and an iPhone that is eSIM only, where Apple utilizes that internal space to give you a larger battery. I don't think that's the case. Yeah, Castaway, I know what you mean. You misunderstood. We are not talking about eSIM support. eSIM support has been here for like 5, 6, 7 years. No, Peter, I'm not shipping you any phones. My mom is getting my 15 Pro Max. No, okay, that was just a misunderstanding. No, no, no. We are talking about specifically the difference between iPhones that actually have a physical SIM card tray and iPhones that don't. And these are the country where Apple is now launching iPhones without a physical SIM card tray and therefore are eSIM only. and therefore have larger batteries inside because they don't have the physical SIM card tray, so they can have a slightly larger battery inside. Okay, that was a little bit confusing, but I'm glad we cleared that up. And actually, let me get to some other chip talk. Now, this one is actually not too big because I do not actually like Antutu that much as a benchmark, but the Vivo X300 series is soon coming up, and that one is going to be powered by MediaTek's new processor, the Dimensity 9500. We actually now know what its cores are going to be called because... how do I do this? I'm logged into the wrong account. There. View my channel. Live. Yeah, Peter, take a 5-minute timeout. So Vivo, and this is not a leak. This is actually Vivo coming out and talking about the performance of their device that is soon about to be released. They have also talked in detail more about the lineup. I don't care as much about that. One thing that is very interesting to me is their promise of UFS 4.1 storage that's supposedly 70% faster than before. 8.6 gigabit per second, that's actually faster than the storage on the MacBook Pros, which maxes out at roughly 7.5. This is faster than 4-lane PCIe 4. Now, it's not quite the speed of 4-lane PCIe 5, but this is actually something that I do want Apple to pay more attention to. iPhones definitely could use faster storage, so that's interesting. ATW saying, hi Mark, sorry for joining late. Well, as a small consolation, I know you missed the actual unboxing, but this is the TechWoven case. My God, why am I constantly dropping it? That's because of the weird way I'm trying to hold it. I swear, guys, the material is not actually slippery or anything, but I've dropped it now 3 times because I'm doing these like air gestures with it around. Benveni, we've now cleared that up. And Peter can be quiet. If he wants to return and actually contribute to the chat, that's different. So that's UFS 4.1, 4-lane storage, 70% faster. So that's actually the thing that is most interesting to me. However, we are also getting the details about the actual processor. So this is the Dimensity 9500 inside the Vivo X300 Pro. It's most likely built on TSMC N3P. And yes, now it reaches over 4 million points in Antutu. That's quite a bit higher. They do not have the actual deeper dive analysis. Dimensity 9500 and Antutu. Wait, is it also available in Japan? Actually, oh yeah, it's also available in Japan. I somehow missed that. Guess Japan is that much more advanced than us here in Europe. Where? Oh yeah. Change to English. 40% here. Okay, so it's a 40% upgrade over the Dimensity 9500 400 powered Vivo X200. Do they have a more concrete breakdown? For some perspective, the most powerful Android device on the chart, Red Magic's, Jesus Christ, stop this bullshit. Snapdragon 8 Elite, I think that's the actively cooled one, scores 3,300,000. I know some people will try to bring in some iPhone numbers, and Antutu is not designed to be cross-platform comparable. Now, While there are still no official Antutu V11 score or breakdowns, Leaker Digital Chat Station claims the Dimensity 9400 scores about 850,000 on the CPU side and around 100,000 on the GPU side. The Vivo X300 Pro manages 1,043,000 and 1,510,000 in those departments comparatively, including a respectable 22% uplift in CPU and a hefty 51% GPU upgrade. So my assumption here is that this is a misnomer. They actually meant to say 1 million because 100,000 to 1,510 is actually a 15 times improvement in performance, not just a 51% improvement in performance. So again, this is the Oppo Find X8 Ultra. I think that one, wait, listed with a total score 28 for some perspective. Wait, which device is in the Oppo Find X8 Ultra? I thought that is that a Dimensity 9400 Plus? GSMarino.com. Jesus Christ. So much research today. Oppo Find X8 Ultra. This device is powered by... Oh, it's powered by the 8 Elite. Okay, so that's interesting. A lot of Ultra versions are getting the 8 Elite, where the non-Ultra versions are getting the Dimensity. So according to a lot of Chinese manufacturers, Qualcomm is still the more premium version alternative here. So 20% uplift in CPU, 51% uplift in GPU, overall 40% uplift. You can take it or leave it. Some scaling in Antutu really does not represent real-world gains. Also, of course, there's a question about how much of that performance is sustained, but at least it seems like we are looking at quite an interesting generational uplift. This is definitely larger than the roughly 10% uplift that Apple has provided. Granted, Apple's uplift for multi-core is actually large, but for single-core, it's not. But that's because Apple's single-core was already at 3600, while if we look here at a Dimensity 9400 device, let's go to the regular Vivo X200 or the Pro, even better. I think the Pro is powered by the MediaTek. We go to review, we go to performance, and how much single core performance did it give us? In Geekbench 6, it gave us 2800, right? So that iPhones were substantially faster. This could allow it to reach 3300 points, which is roughly where we see the performance of in leaks for the 8 Elite Gen 5. Even we saw some 3400. That's for the higher clocked Galaxy version. There were some questions about if these devices were hitting maximum clock speeds. So I am still waiting, of course, for the official confirmation by Qualcomm. I'm not trying to say Apple is automatically winning. This is not this kind of channel. But yeah, so while this will not allow it to reach the iPhone in single core, well, maybe it would allow it to roughly come close in multi-core with the A19 Pro, because the gap here between it and the iPhone 16 was not as wide as it is for single core. You see also Antutu results here. Should be noted that actual highest end results are not often reached, I would argue. Very often, like those highest ends, well, especially it's like a sustained test, are not reached. But yes, you can roughly say Dimensity 9400 is like 2 million? But yeah, also, of course, we are waiting for a new Antutu version to be tested on these devices. So plenty of stuff to go forward. New devices, new chips, and new benchmarks. Riley saying Antutu scores make me go to sleep. Yeah, well, that's unfortunately the numbers we have right now. I did cover Geekbench for like the leaks that we got for the 8 Elite Gen 5 or 8 Elite 2 for Galaxy. I did cover a Geekbench for the Exynos 2600. So, I'm doing what I can. Obviously, I'm not gonna just invent numbers out of whole cloth to satisfy you guys. Yeah, but that's about it for the new chip stuff, because there's even newer chip stuff. I know that sounds confusing, but we have some very nerdy details, and this is actually interesting, and this directly connects to the Dimensity 9500 stuff I just talked about, because the Dimensity 9500 does utilize off-the-shelf ARM technology for both CPU and GPU, and previously we actually didn't know what the successor for like the X925 modem would be. And in fact, the branding for ARM's off-the-shelf CPU and GPU cores is changing entirely. And for example, it's getting rid of the Cortex brand that has been with it for years and years. If you're looking at the exact changes, the Cortex X900 series is becoming the ARM C1 Ultra, so they're more concretely leaning onto the ARM branding. There is a new ARM C1 Premium that's a little bit below. It's basically a premium core, but one that's not quite as big, has a little bit less cache. It's going to be a little bit cheaper to implement. It's also going to be a much more economical, like not just from the fact that it's cheaper, but a lot of companies sometimes use a premium core, like as the main core, right? But then they use like the same core but downclocked as a secondary, like a medium core, right? It's not quite as low as an efficiency core, but it's basically a downclock prime core. This one would allow you to have, for example, one C1 Ultra core, and then maybe one or two C1 Premium cores. And then once we go down, these cores are called Pro and Nano. Nano being the replacement for the lowest end, the A500 series. Pro being the replacement for the A700 series. All of them are based, of course, on the latest instruction set stuff, which I believe is 9.3. Makes sense. They're also talking about supporting features like scalable matrix extensions too, and for example are promising that decoding HDR video is, thanks to it, 10% more efficient. ARM C1 Ultra is up to 25% faster than the Core X925, and that actually kind of makes sense given the Antutu results we just saw for the Vivo X300 Pro, because the Vivo X300 Pro is powered by Dimensity 9500. Most likely its prime core is the C1 Ultra, so that uplift makes sense. Then we have the C1 Premium. That one is primarily designed to just be smaller than the C1 Ultra. That way you don't have to overspend by putting in too many C1 Ultras on your die, but you also don't have to go too low with performance by focusing instead too much on the efficiency cores. Next is the C1 Pro. That one is not a huge uplift. It promises up to 16% more performance in things like gaming, or to be 12% more power efficient than the Cortex A725. Now, the Cortex A725 is a pretty good E-core. It's kind of more to be designed like a intermediate core, like somewhere between a prime core and an efficiency core. A725 was quite a lot better than the A720, so that's at least promising, and this builds on top of that. And then finally on the lowest end, this is where we get one of the biggest improvements here, and that's primarily because the A520 was really outdated, was really a really bad E-core, right? To the point that many manufacturers even stopped including A500 series cores at all on the die. If you just get from the nomenclature here, right, from the branding, it's called A520, while this was called A725 and this was called X925, which means that there were 20, now not of this chord. Before this, it was called the X4, but that's just confusing branding on ARM's part. But the predecessor to this was the A720. We somehow never got an A525. Instead, we kept the A520 around for years and years, and now finally we're getting a 26% more efficient solution. So there's a lot of stuff here, like there's a new dynamic caching model and things like that. There are a lot of nerdy details here that I think will make a lot of sense for me to analyze once we actually get either something like a Geeker. Well, I can actually look. Well, no, I would see that, right? Did Geekervent post something? No, their iPhone video is still their latest video. But I would like to go into those details about like latency and things like that, AI performance. Probably better to see that once we have actual tests, because there is also a misunderstanding here. Like, yeah, they're talking a lot about stuff like SME2, like what Apple has introduced, for example, on the A18 series, which allow it to have pretty nice gains in Geekbench, for example. But here they are bringing up things like latency for certain AI tasks. That's cool and all, and I'm quite interested in seeing how it performs. But again, they also have like average power saving of like 12%, which doesn't actually sound too crazy to me. So I would like to see the performance of this chip in aggregate, especially on Android, since on Android it's really hard for a manufacturer to control like what tasks you're gonna put onto the chip. Riley saying, I wonder why it takes too long to adopt a new ARM version. It doesn't. Apple could have gone with ARM v9 for a long time, but Apple has specific priorities when it comes to they know what people utilize on iOS apps, on Mac apps, iPad apps. And when they design a new CPU core, especially one so new that it uses a big new number instruction set, like, right, not talking about like going from ARM 9.2 to 9.3. I'm talking going from some version of ARM v8 to ARM v9. Apple will just do that when it actually coincides with some other priorities they have, because the raw performance gains that just come from jumping from ARM v8.7 to ARM v9.1, honestly, they're pretty insignificant to all the architectural leaps, all the cache and cache management technologies, all the, of course, the separate controllers that Apple has on it, media engines. The gains of just being focused on the underlying ARM instruction set are very, very small for Apple, because they already lead in single core performance. They already lead in efficiency. Like, sure, sometimes they will pick up some new features like SME2 and this new like memory security feature that people are complaining that Apple is claiming as if they invented it or whatever. But overall, for just performance gains, it doesn't play nearly as much of a role as one might think. There's also a big change here for the GPU. Now, for the branding, we are now going from the Immortalis G925. We're now getting the ARM Mali G1 Ultra that, for example, does have new stuff like a second generation ray tracing unit, which doubles the ray tracing performance compared to the one inside the Immortalis G925 GPU. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that performs. If Apple can keep up, Apple has not promised any big ray tracing gains for the ARM v9. It should be noted that our selection of ray tracing games on mobile still remains even way worse than it was on PC like a year or two into the existence of like the RTX 2000 series. But overall, it's still good that this is happening. Mali G1 Ultra, the pinnacle of mobile GPU performance, 20% better performance in graphics, benchmarks, and games. This is a smaller leap than what Apple is. Well, Apple did promise you 20%, but now we are seeing disproportionate amount of scaling on something like Geekbench Compute. It should also be noted that most likely Apple can better improve their memory bandwidth, because Apple was starting from something as low as 7,500 mega transfers per second. Most Dimensity 9400 chips already utilize the fastest available LPDDR technology, which is LPDDR 10700, or to be more precise, 10667. Like in terms of also raw AI performance based on the GPU, this is where Apple promises significantly more. So this one promises 20% faster inference. So basically exact scaling alongside the raster performance, but then 2 times faster ray tracing. Should be noted that sometimes ray tracing performance promises do not pan out as promised. For example, Apple promised 2 times faster ray tracing on the A18. That definitely didn't happen in real world, so we'll have to see. But yeah, these are basically the redesign, the rebranding. The main focus here is, of course, the CPU branding is now called C1, so I assume we are gonna follow this up unless branding changes again with C2 Ultra, C2 Pro, C2 Nano, which is funny because Apple just, of course, launched the C1 as their modem on the iPhone 16e, and now Apple has the C1X as the modem for the iPhone Air, so some competing branding. And if you have C1 here, you now have G1 for the GPU. I also assume you probably have differently sized GPUs. Yeah, so I assume you also have something just smaller than the Ultra. But it's not for some reason mentioned here. There's also a question of really that this one is really bothering me. Every single fucking manufacturer is promising us some form of new AI upscaling, like every 5 minutes it feels like. And now we have like ARM's accuracy super resolution, ASR. We of course have NVIDIA DLSS. We have AMD's FSR. We have Intel's XeSS. We have Apple's MetalFX upscaling. And while Apple, NVIDIA, AMD are continuously improving their technologies, when it comes to all the other mobile stuff, it really feels like these upscaling solutions are like thrown against the wind and then almost immediately forgotten. But they're saying it's already supported in UE5 and it's integrated into Fortnite. But then again, Fortnite is a game that's made by Epic, which is the company that makes Unreal Engine 5. So if they had the partnership to put this into UE5 and obviously Epic was already working on it, then yeah, they basically tested it out with Fortnite. Doesn't mean it will actually come to every UE5 game on mobile, but also very few games on mobile are UE5, so again, this is not trying to downplay this entirely. It's actually more a genuine disappointment, because I would love to not see all of these competing technologies between Qualcomm and MediaTek, and like Qualcomm even had like a solution specifically for like for Windows devices that were powered by the Snapdragon X Elite. So that was a complete shit show, unfortunately. Let's hope that they actually get something good from here. For example, one thing where Apple could excel is that their MetalFX upscaling. And I do actually have a benchmark of my own, believe it or not, to present to you, even though it has nothing to do with this. But it is getting better in Metal 4. which has to be integrated on a game-by-game basis. It's not just going to be automatically available in macOS 26, unfortunately. But that one will also now support technologies like frame interpolation, or as NVIDIA calls it, frame generation, which I think is supported on some of these mobile upscalers too. But then again, the quality of those technologies is not really well known. It's simply not as tested as what we see, like a Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus analyze like the quality of DLSS and FSR, or even an outlet like Digital Foundry that actually did some testing, for example, on Metal FX. So these other technologies, they're way more obscure, they're way underutilized, they do not get regular updates, while at least with Metal 4, we are getting new solutions into Metal FX. So beyond just the upscaling, we are getting frame interpolation, and we are getting denoising. So denoise, and if all of these solutions are AI based, well, Apple's GPU now has AI accelerators that can make it 3 to 4 times faster for AI inference. This is 20% faster. So if your game, because it's on a mobile device, most likely runs on a pretty low resolution, well, now Apple can offer you a very advanced upscaler, one that will also work across the very popular selling iPad. You can even build games that are from the ground compatible between iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and it just scales between it all. That's unfortunately also not the case here. Again, I'm not trying to downplay this, but I do need to counter some narratives, because what I see online often is stuff like, oh, my 8 Elite is so fast. There's like this app that emulates PC, and I can play DirectX 11 games on it. And I'm like, yeah, but now that meant you have to run like an emulated PC environment. You're now running games that are not really syncing like your game status with everything else. Like there is so many layers of complication. You will have to download PC versions of games, which often are much larger than mobile versions because they feature like texture files that just are not needed for like a smartphone, for example. So your files are now like 3 to 4 times larger. So now this is like me really going on a tangent. This is nothing against the technologies here. A lot of this is very promising, but I'm also trying to say it's not as big of a leap as some are saying. So the fact that Antutu is having this 51% GPU uplift, maybe it's doing some ray tracing here that's really benefiting it. And if you think about it, if it's 50% testing raster and 50% testing ray tracing, that means it gets like a 20% uplift in raster and then 100% uplift in ray tracing, and then on average you're coming out to a 50 to 60% uplift. So yeah, Antutu is not the best benchmark in general. And I will be really, really interested in seeing how devices like the X300 Pro perform in the real world. That's all I'm trying to say. Not trying to downplay it, just trying to analyze it fairly. Apple's architectures to me are generally more exciting because I know that I will also be able to buy an iPad with it. I'll be able to buy a MacBook with it that has up to like 40 GPU cores and has up to a 512-bit memory bus. So yeah, again, plenty of excitement here on the Android side, and really good that we're seeing still notable gains, hopefully also with plenty of efficiency, but it's not quite as crazy as one might have hoped. It's also 9% less energy per frame, which, while Apple hasn't given us exact promises of efficiency changes, think about it. If it's 20% faster, but it's 9% more efficient. That means at least it's using like 10% more energy on the high end. And if you have devices that might have not already been able too good at sustaining their previous 6, 7, 8 watt power limits, well, this one, it will be more efficient and therefore it will give you more performance in the same power envelope, but it might just not be the gigantic leap you might have hoped. Just saying. I guess it just means compute subsystem, or maybe they forgot DL here. I don't know. Previously, the likes of MediaTek and Samsung would license CPU and GPU designs and piece together a chipset. The Lumex CSS is a turnkey solution. To be clear, ARM isn't about to start selling chips. Instead, it has crafted production-ready implementations for the 3nm semiconductor nodes of multiple foundries. So basically, if you're pretty bad at designing a chip, now, like Google, now instead of just buying the CPU and GPU core, you can also buy an overall outline of an actual chip set. And that will utilize technologies like that, from 1 to 14 CPU cores, up to 3 core types, consisting of all these new solutions that we've mentioned. The Mali G1 GPU scales from 1 to 24 shaders. I guess the lowest solution would be for something like a smartwatch, because I cannot imagine anything, or even like maybe like an like wireless earbuds or something like that. So this should hopefully help companies like Google. I assume this also allows for some level of customization on top of it. So maybe you could use your own neural engine still. But whether or not this actually gets widely adopted, we don't know. We obviously don't know the price. How does this compare to the cost of having to develop your own chipset? But this could open up the market to more competitors. Those competitors wouldn't be bringing brand new technology to the market, because it still would be mostly off-the-shelf ARM technology, but they might put a little bit of their own twist on it, which right now it takes really large companies like Apple and Qualcomm to design entirely separate CPU and GPU designs, and then smaller companies like, well, not that MediaTek is particularly small, it's just smaller in comparison. They just use CPU and GPU cores, put a little bit of their own spin on it. Then we have Xiaomi now doing almost the same. And then we have Google, which tries to do the same, but kind of often fails, and then also tries to make their own neural accelerators with their TPU, but that one isn't too great. So we'll have to see how this actually plays out, if this gets really widely adopted. But the actual underlying technologies here are quite cool. It's quite good to see it. Everyone is still very much on 3nm this year, including Apple. So seems like I'm definitely losing my bet about there being still some 2nm chips from Apple in 2025. But hey, I'll be happy in December or January to be giving some money to charity, I guess. Though I do think that this now finally actually concludes our leaks and rumors and news for today. Yeah, there are some like interviews that Apple's like engineers and executives are giving about like the iPhone Air. I think I would like to cover this closer to the actual release date. Yeah, beyond that, everything is quite clear cut. Let's see if I've missed anything on 9 to 5 Mac. Doesn't seem that way. Well, Benveni, you asked for it. Let me actually look, because it looks like a relatively short video. Let me look into what Jerryrigeverything has to say about what I assume is to be a Google Pixel 10 Pro here.
Rumor has it that the new Pixel 10 Pro XL is the new, easiest to repair smartphone on the planet. Easier than even the Fairphone 6, which is wild. Today we're going to find out for ourselves.
Most definitely not true. I've already seen teardowns of this device.
Turns out that Google has released a free 230...
I think what he meant with finally did it primarily refers to just them getting rid of glue on the battery and going with pull tabs.
34-page repair guide. You can
Guys, we've been streaming for a little over 1.5 hours. If you're enjoying this, please don't forget to leave a like for this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this. Also, up on top, you'll find a link to our Discord if you want to join that and have more discussions with our community. Just talk and enjoy in general. Beyond that, if you feel like supporting me directly, you can leave a super chat or a super sticker. Even a small donation goes a long way to help me find more time in the day, in the week for these streams. And of course, you can also become a channel member here on YouTube or support your over on Patreon.
Print them all out for a bit of light reading, and if this video gets 100,000 likes, I'll read every page word for word like a cozy bedtime story. My goal here today is to keep this smartphone alive, since my last one, it's just nice to see them alive sometimes. I'll drip some isopropyl alcohol around the edges of the glass, hoping that some wicks between the glass and the aluminum into the adhesive underneath to help dissolve it. Then I'll use an ultra-thin pry tool to insert around the earpiece and slowly make my way down both sides, making sure, of course, that my tool does not go deeper than just the black bezel, until I'm positive that I can reach underneath the AMOLED panel, since if something touches the edge of that panel, it'll break the display. The only reason to remove the screen is if it's already broken, so this level of care and precision isn't
what was
normally
interesting
required on a
about
damaged
this?
phone. I'm just attempting it with the screen on to prove that it's possible, which it clearly is, because as you can see with the screen off, there are no additional screws inside the Pixel body, just a metal latch and a Lego-style ribbon cable.
Okay, so we have, this is just the, basically the, the RF shielding for the screen. It's a little bit of cooling too. I mean, it better have some cooling for the screen, given that it can reach up to 3,300 nits supposedly.
That snakes over into the other half of the phone. As long as you don't damage this long ribbon, it's a rather foolproof removal process. My screen is very much still alive, and a sufficiently caffeinated smartphone technician could probably replace a Pixel 10 Pro.
Now that he's talking extra fast, now he feels even more caffeinated.
Smartphone screen in about 2 minutes, if they really wanted to. It's an extremely impressive design. If you don't mind using a heat gun, I think this display just won the most repairable smartphone screen of the year. There is a
Based on what? What? What was so different about this display than anything else? Like, might have some, like, maybe Apple's display, like, needs a few more ribbon cables to disconnect there? Which, like, what? Why is he so friendly towards Google all of a sudden? Is he okay?
a small rectangle at the top that allows the light.
It still is all that complicated, like glue nonsense, which, yeah, that's not, like, it's common for everything, I guess, but it's not a unique thing.
And proximity sensors to see out through the pixels on the display. You can see my flash shining through the screen. Kind of fun. I'll turn the phone off now that I've proven it can be done.
I'm sorry, what happened with those pixels?
The latch that holds the screen ribbon just slides horizontally
that's because, yeah, okay.
way, and then the plug pops off like a little Lego, releasing the ultra-thin screen and its under-screen ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. The rest of the hardware is still in the phone body, but only accessible from the backside. If you remember from the sneak peek during the durability test, Google might have also given us a new, easy way to remove the battery for the first time. I love it when companies do nice things. Speaking of companies doing nice things, I'll pull the SIM card tray out next. This is an international version of the Pixel 10 Pro XL, so I do still have the SIM card tray. The version sold in the US does not, which isn't all that bad though, since eSIM smartphone plans can be way less expensive, even as low as $5.
Really? I didn't know that. I am not sure. Is that maybe not allowed in the European Union to differentiate in terms of pricing in that way?
A month with my channel sponsor Tello. I feel like more people should be talking about how inexpensive these plans are. With Tello, you can
dude, are you selling out? Are you not this like super pro consumer guy that's like super about DIY repairs and consumer choice and everything? What's up with this video? It has like really shilly vibes. Like he's like sucking off Google. I don't even remember him ever bringing up a sponsor like this, like in the midst of a teardown.
Likely still keep your same phone and same phone number, and I'll explain how it works.
He's praising a solution that's like, I praise eSIMs, but I am not a like pro-consumer guy who's acting like a man of the people or whatever. I'm just telling you what I like in terms of technology, and that's what I like to see on more devices.
As I try not to break
Is
the
that
glass
what
panel.
you
Cross your fingers for
wanted
me.
me to
Tello gives
complain
you
about,
reliable
or is
4
there
or 5G
something that I'm
LTE coverage
missing?
without a crazy monthly price tag. It's rather refreshing to see numbers that small again in this economy. Even an unlimited everything talk, text, and data plan is only $25. The first 35 gigabytes of which are high speed, very reasonable.
Jesus Christ, this is like a fifth of this video is like an ad.
You can change your plan whenever you want, and there are no long-term commitments or contracts, just how we like it. Plus, you get free international calls to 60 different countries, free Wi-Fi calling.
Oh, I am just fucking disliking this. Oh, I can. I'll dislike it later on in my
hotspot,
headphone.
eSIM, and international roaming. It's a crazy good plan that just sells itself. Then I imagine Tello is able to keep it.
It sells itself. This is why this is a sponsored piece of content inside the YouTube video that randomly started talking in with the cheapest fucking excuse. Bro, what happened to you? Is money this tight? Like, you have, what, 10, 12 million subscribers?
Price is so low by not having any brick and mortar stores, and just using dashingly handsome online influencers to let people know their product exists. I'll leave a link for Tello down in the description, and huge thanks to Tello for taking on the big boys and having extremely reasonable prices.
This is the problem. This is the problem with people who are anti-establishment. They don't understand that just because a company is smaller, just because a company, like, for one, not operating brick and mortar stores, yeah, sure, that helps them keep costs down. Nobody's denying that. But that also means fewer people are employed. It means customers have a way smaller chance of getting really good in-person customer service ever. Bro, are you for real?
Glad I could help more people know they can save
like,
money.
I get it. Take the sponsor. Talk about eSIMs. I'm not against that. But like, when did he start?
Did everything talk, text, and data was $5 with Tello. You can most.
He started at 2.
I feel like more people should be talking about it.
At 2:37, and it continued until
People know they can save money.
3:37.
And would you look at
It was exactly a minute. So he was paid for exactly a minute for roughly 1/10 of the video, which, well, no. It's more than one. It's 1/8 of the video. Bro, what's up with you? I thought you were like this super, like, what's that guy that I hate? That repair guy, Louis Rossman. Like, I thought you were like in bed with him on those topics.
The rumors are true. The green pull tab does exist. We'll have to give it a few tugs in just a second, but first we gotta find the battery plug and remove some of the ribbons that are in the way. All the screws in here are a T3, which is nice, but they are all different lengths, so keep them
FRKM,
organized.
what kind of screen protector did you order? I do this year. I do motivate people to maybe be a little bit more careful with screen protectors for like the 17 series, because they do have a more advanced anti-reflective coating. So there is a chance that depending on what kind of screen protector you buy, you will actually add more glare on top of your iPhone 17.
And don't sneeze. With the wireless charging cables unplugged, it's cool to see that Google has labeled the Tensor G5 chip, a label
Okay, I guess.
that no one would ever see unless you're here subscribed to my channel.
Does he actually comment on the device? Because usually when he like tears it down, he comments on the internal specs. But now we wasted 1 minute on an ad. He declared the display the most repairable of any smartphone this year. Okay, which I guess then everything else is either trash or about as good. FRKM, you cannot send links if you feel like it. I'm not forcing you to. Oh, we have new people joining the Discord already. Oh, we have Tammy joining the Discord, waving hi. And we have Castaway Place for you joining the Discord. Guys, thank you so much. Super active today. FRKM, I don't know if you're one of our existing members, but knowing whenever you chat, you feel like you would be a great part of our community. So just leaving the Discord link once again in the chat, and just share the link over there, right? And maybe I won't be able to directly look at it, but maybe some other people will. So thank you so much.
Kind of fun. Turns out as well that since Google has added new magnets to the back of the phone...
No, it's all good, Evercam. It's not your fault. I sometimes forget, I do not always watch my streams on my main account. I have a secondary account that doesn't have YouTube Premium. That way I check what the ad experience is on my channel. And sometimes I forget to switch between them, and then I watch my stream through this, and I try to send a link like Discord, and then I see like, oh, I'm writing from the wrong account. So whenever you see Mark Tech, I think it's 1996 or it's a Marky Master account. I always forget what the name is. So it's an old account that I still have from like high school days. That's still me, but it's just not my main channel account.
Wireless charge anymore, like it could on the previous Pixel 9. The magnets mess with the lower powered induction field. I'll remove the 7 visible T3 screws and pop out the substantially large metal plate. This might be what helped add so much strength to the phone during the durability test.
Okay, I thought he was going to talk about cooling because this device is not great at that.
Substantially large metal plate. This might be what helped add so
I guess it is. It is pretty thickish. Yeah. Maybe from just the surface area it's not too huge, but
strength to the
looks
phone
okay.
during the durability test.
Could be useful in cooling. I assume this is aluminum.
Along the bottom with another shiny metal plate. This also has a water damage indicator sticker stuck to the top. With the plates gone, we can remove the signal ribbon extension cable. The top of the ribbon has some textured dots. This is Braille for what the heck are you doing in here. Finally, the battery, which for the first time appears to be very easily removable. There are no arrows or indicators on which flap to lift up first. There are 2 flaps, and maybe I should have read that manual first, but with some very solid tugs, the green tab lifts the battery away from the lower plastic wrapping that's still left inside of the phone.
I have no idea what Ben Vinny saw in this video. Yeah, I think the ad just made me angry, but I'm not sure if that was why I was supposed to watch this video.
These lithium batteries are 95% recyclable, so it's nice that we can now remove the 5,200 milliamp hours without...
I mean, it literally said, yeah, okay, that's the typical, and that, typical capacity, and that's the rated capacity. I hate this differentiation. It's close to 20 watt hours, basically.
Without exploding. Thumbs up for that. I do have a little extra bracket now, though. I'm not sure where it came.
So a little bit of copper for some cooling for the battery.
We'll just slide this out.
No vapor chamber or anything, seemingly, unless I...
frame and pretend we never saw it.
Unless
I'll unplug the extension ribbon that connects the main board to the charging port board.
Chamber,
this is very similar to the long extension ribbon that extends out the front to the screen. We have one more screw holding down the charging port board. And this guy is a USB 3.2 port that can charge at 45 watts. The little gray rubber ring around the tip helps with the IP68 water resistant rating. Google has also conveniently given us our own little transparent blue window into the balls inside the loudspeaker. Thank you for that. The loudspeaker also has an orange rubber ring and waterproofing mesh over the opening. There's a large rectangular haptic vibrator near the bottom corner. Making our way up to the motherboard and cameras, things get a little more complicated, since there are some hidden screws, 2 in the left corners and 2 more under a metal bracket up at the top. Then the motherboard can lift up and out of the frame, pulling the long screen ribbon cable out through the back as it comes up. We can unclip the camera units from the back side of the motherboard. On the left, we have a 50 megapixel main camera with OIS, then a 48 megapixel ultra wide camera which does not have OIS, and a 48 megapixel 5x optical telephoto, which does have internal optical stabilization. And I'm not sure where this guy came from. Nobody saw that. And we have some thermal paste on the back that helps bridge the air gap between the Tensor G5 chip and the copper vapor chamber of the phone. I'm not sure what these mesh strands are for on this other side. It looks kind of like a drywall patch, but it probably has something to do with cooling. Some kind of air gap Google wanted to fill. On the opposite side of the phone, at the top near the upper stereo speaker...
I don't understand. Does he have no experience with this device? Why is he not commenting on any of the hardware or like...
Another window into the ball pit for ants, and a little tic-tac-toe game so technicians have something to do when they're bored. Honestly, I'm a massive fan of what Google is doing with repairability. With the new near-foolproof screen removal process...
I feel like if Apple had done this, it would be like, oh, it's overdue. Meanwhile, Google went back on some repairability stuff. Now they're kind of back on board. And there's no criticism inside this video. Maybe like that G5 chip that you pulled apart, like the cooling, whatever, or for the chip itself for that matter.
Removable battery, and most importantly, genuine replacement parts available from iFixit, plus the free repair manual. I think the Google Pixel 10 Pro is on track for the most repairable smartphone of the year. And an
Okay, this is poor. Wait, what did iFixit give the 10 Pro? Did even iFixit give them such a large? iFixit Pixel 10 Pro. Repair help. Pixel 10 teardown. Did they not give it? Might be the easy. Okay, this is one. That's one. That's definitely not true. What are you talking about? Like, nothing in here was that substantially easier. Then why was he sucking up to Google that much? Here, yeah, this is from iFixit. This is from the company. This is, by the way, when I'm talking monetary incentive, either iFixit is just way more qualified than Jerry, which they might because they actually have experts. Fuck it, I'll be angry at this point. This company is working together with Google to give you genuine repair parts, which means they have a monetary incentive to be really nice to Google. And they gave the Pixel 10 a 6 out of 10 repairability score. I highly, highly doubt that the Pixel 10 Pro is somehow substantially more repairable. What Jerry's on, I couldn't tell you. He is huffing some premium grade hopium on this one, and copium. Some googium, I guess. The fuck? Yeah, I mean, it's better. Nobody is denying that, but Jan's saying, okay, that's between you guys. Sorry, just checking that my stream is still working fine. All looks good. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I have no idea. Please, can you test if an iPhone 16 Pro fits in it? My 15, well, my 15 Pro definitely would, just simply because we know by size. But this is a case for the 15 Pro, so you have to imagine the iPhone itself would be smaller. So yes, it would fit in. Oh, wait. You wrote Samuel, but you meant Mark. Are you okay, Jan? Wait, do I have a link to my own clear case? This is the clear case for, well, this one, to be more precise, is for the 13 Pro Max, which is basically about as big as the 15 Pro Max. My 15 Pro Max is recording me. That's just the Apple one. You don't need a link separate for that. I mean, here, well, not this one, but like, it's just then country specific to what you need. So find the Apple Store and go to it, or even better, go to Amazon of your region and just type in Apple Clear Case with the phone that you need. Again, if you want it though for the 17 Pro, it's not like I can suddenly design you a clear case, but I know some people will point that out. D-brand clear case 17 Pro. There are other clear cases, but whatever. I'm not sponsored by them, unlike seemingly every other YouTuber. So there will be clear cases by D-brand that hug your 17 Pro or 17 Pro Max. I don't like that it's black on the sides. I can't. You can do it without MagSafe. Well, I guess if you want it really clear, right? Then this one is just larger. Yeah, okay. So if you want this, oh yeah, this is about a preview of what your phone would look like. This is the clear case without even extra MagSafe rings, which doesn't mean that MagSafe wouldn't work, because the internal magnets in the iPhone would still be there. It just might be a slightly weaker connection because it has to go through like a little bit of plastic in between, but should be fine for most accessories. Yeah, that's about it.
Excellent choice for a long-term flagship upgrade. Even after everything has been through, it still turns on.
Yeah, I hated this video.
Course,
Whoever,
like every other
I'm not sure if it was Benveni. Who was it? Yeah, Benveni, you said, please watch Jerryrigeverything about Pixel. He posted 3 hours ago. Yeah, I hate you, by the way. This was a terrible video. Did you just want me to lose my shit? Like even Linus's video on the iPhone 17 family is actually quite good. It's not perfect. He's still getting some things wrong. He's still making some assumptions about the iPhone user base. At one point, Linus suggests that like most people might not care about the Pro Max variants because Apple didn't specifically call out the Pro Max during the keynote, which like iPhone annual sales by model. Can I please get a number? Jesus, what's okay. So the 16, no, that's a stupid, that's the overall install base. I'm asking about new sales numbers. Revenue growth. So market share 10%. Yeah, people care about the Pro. But this is also such a stupid table. Can I not? Sales share by model in US 2014 to 2021. Then again, Statista is behind a fucking paywall. Apple sales statistic. Is there a source? No, that's something I already clicked on. Oh, okay, Apple's best-selling iPhone models. Notice that only Pro and Pro Max models you can get. There are three different price points. While the base iPhone class might be the best-selling for Apple, what is stupid? Jesus. I apparently don't have a breakdown of the actual like sales between individual models. 10 best selling phones 2024. Yeah, so it's the base model that's the most popular because it's the cheapest, and then it's actually the Pro Max that comes in above. The reason why in 2024, obviously the 15 Pro Max outsold the 16 Pro Max because it was available for a longer period of time in the year. Obviously, then I believe the 16 series outperformed the 15 series in general. So yeah, I'm not gonna watch Linus's video today, but never listen to him about like the attitude of Apple users. Like I don't think he actually interacts with those like fanboyish Apple users that he sometimes refers to. Every person in his company that uses Apple tech is very balanced, very nice about it, isn't too fanboyish, could consider Android, and that's how most Apple users are. But sometimes when Linus talks about Apple, he will have like this, like he will sometimes say, well, Apple users just told me it just works, but it doesn't. It's like, no, nobody told you that. Everybody acknowledges there are some bugs sometimes, that not every model is perfect in every way. But yeah, I'm just trying to say, not trying to turn this channel back into a drama channel against LTT, but just pointing out there are better sources for Apple news reviews than LTT. That being said, there's one extra thing that I wanted to have a look at, and that is the Tech Chaps video.
Hello there.
About the iPhone
new
17.
Right,
and
so
that's because I heard there are some pretty good camera samples in here.
we've got 4 new iPhones, the 17, the Air, the Pro, and the Pro Max.
So we
also have one 20Hz Pro coating to it, although I can't say it's lights. We've also got mist blue, black. The 17 also gets a much larger. Now,
let's actually look into
colors.
this because
I can't say it's made that white. The screen's also in 5 lovely colors. I think this sage and the lavender.
So the colors are nice. I'm not sure. It seems like he's using a pretty desaturated color profile for this video, but this is something that I actually haven't analyzed too much on this channel yet. So sage, green, lavender
Are the highlights. We've also got mist blue.
The blue is not as pretty as the ultramarine from last year, but black and white remain very standard options. This is still, in my opinion, one of the best looking phones on the market with a very simple dual camera cutout. Now both cameras are 48 megapixels. Plenty of improvements across display, battery life, performance. So this is a really good phone, especially for $800, especially now that it comes standard with 256 gigabytes of storage.
Black and white. The screen's also a touch larger there. Anyway, quite a significant jump megapixel last time.
So
but now it's the dual 60 minutes will top you up
claims
50%. As for the camera, on the base 17, it's the... I can't remember, I'm going to put it on screen.
So battery life here, this is for stuff like video watching. Those things are substantially improved by the presence of an LTPO screen. We've covered this, I believe, already on multiple videos, but definitely even in on my last stream, which is that LTPO is not just high refresh rate, it's not just 120 hertz, but it's variable refresh rate, which allows it to be very efficient when handling something like a movie. Like instead of playing a movie in a very bad 60 hertz container, because 60 does not evenly divide by 24, which is the frame rate for a lot of movies. So instead, when you're watching a movie, your iPhone will actually jump into being 48 hertz, and that will combine very nice with a 24 FPS movie playback, and that will obviously help it be actually visually smoother, but also notably more efficient.
Anyway, I can tell it's the same camera across all iPhone 17s. And while it is high resolution and a much bigger sensor, I think it's roughly twice the size, the big deal is that it's a square sensor, 1x1 rather than 4x3. Essentially, there are 4 modes, both the vertical and the landscape.
This also suggests that this isn't a sensor that Apple is using in any other camera. Will be actually interesting to see exactly how large it is. So it should be 40% larger on each axis to be like roughly twice as big. Will be interesting.
Close up and a wider. This new selfie camera is also the widest field of view that we've had on one of their selfies. They've also improved the video stabilization. So with this new setup, rather than thinking, oh, let me take one this way, oh, there's too many people in the background now, let's go this way.
That's how I felt today taking the photo for the thumbnail. What I actually ended up doing is I just used the back camera that was way sharper, dealt with the lighting conditions in my bedroom way better.
You can do it all from the same orientation. So that's the iPhone 17, and it will cost you the same as last time, $700.
Wait, are there no pictures here? Wait, did he post those like later on his website? Because I saw it like on Twitter, people sharing his...
Intelligence is how much placement phone design. That's 7-layer two colors phone. Photo lens being the... And if you zoom into
that's
for the telephoto, all the actually for portraits. And while the main wide camera has stayed the same, the new chip and better processing should benefit all the camera lenses.
Okay, so that's the back camera sample. So he's pointing out that the 17 Pro does not make people as warm or as reddish or as yellowish as the previous generation. That's a nice change.
Particularly when you're using the 2x zoom with that main lens.
Oh, that's a notable difference. That's both sharper and much nicer. Is there any difference in how the photographic styles were preset? Because that's a pretty huge deal. That's a big change.
And if you zoom into 8x with the telephoto...
Because Apple promises the same smart HDR pipeline.
It's using a 12 megapixel crop of the 4x optical lens. And for the first time, you can punch into 40x with photos. Previously, this topped out at 25x. And then flipping things around to the front, we have that new center stage camera. I briefly mentioned this earlier, but it has much better video stabilization, very similar to the main rear.
Yeah, that's because it will crop in onto its pretty larger, well, it's not pretty large, it's just a larger sensor than it was before. It's still obviously not as large as like the main sensors on either the base or the Pro 17s. But yeah, this will help with stabilization tremendously.
Camera's super steady mode, and it's this combined with the power of the new chip which unlocks another new feature. Dual record, front and back cameras at the same time. I know we've had that on basically all Android phones since the beginning of time, but iPhone has finally caught up, so you can walk.
Well, you were able to do that through third-party apps for quite a while.
Around with your pretty little face in the frame and also record what's going on behind you, and you can punch in and out and change between the lenses.
But also, what Apple promises here is, by the way, that both video recordings are still like full Dolby Vision HDR and everything, so you're not compromising to get this dual recording.
The limitation is that it tops out at 4K 30. You can't shoot 4K.
Yeah, okay, that's the compromise.
60. Also, there is no sign of 8K video recording, which was rumored for the new phones.
I'm really glad that it
never happened, but also fine. And just like the rest of the lineup, we also get 256 gigs of storage, although for the first time, you can now spec a Pro Max with 2 terabytes. There's also a couple of new video modes for super high-end production.
Okay, that's unfortunate. We do not have that many new picture samples. I had hoped we did. I know that nobody else is gonna, maybe Super Saf is gonna have something. He
The new
definitely
iPhone
does not have like a full camera comparison already out there. Why do this to yourself? Nothing CEO reviews Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. This is so stupid. 50% foldable to 100% air, okay.
phones are here. I've had some early hands-on time, and here's everything you need to know. So it's got a square cameras at the same time, like this or sideways, so you're not going to have to turn your camera to take landscape images anymore. It's also got dual capture, so you'll be able to get faster.
Why does nobody share an actual high-resolution image?
Of getting one of the new iPhones.
I don't think Apple forbade you to like send a quick airdrop from these devices, did they?
You're going to want to protect your investment with a case and screen protector from our video sponsor, ESR. The ESR is a reliable magnetic lock you can count on for complete absorption of generic protectors. Check out the link in the description. 3000 nits peak bright center stage camera, and they have triple 48 megapixel rear-facing cameras, which are all fusion. So we've got a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 48 megapixel primary camera, up to 8 times with optical quality, and it can be pushed all the way up to 40 times. Now, I did do a bit of a test with this, and you can see some of the results for the extended.
Okay, 17 Pro Max. Oh yeah, that's one example I saw online. That's nice. Okay,
Zoom.
that's at 8x for the 17 Pro Max.
We're really going to have to put it up against some of the competition.
That's a 40x. That obviously, like at this point, like a 10x digital zoom on top of the 4x optical.
And of course, we're going to be doing that Super Staff style very soon. So be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon if you haven't already.
Wait, he didn't offer any comparison?
bigger battery.
I thought I saw this same shot, but with the Galaxy. Or with the 16 Pro Max next to it. I apologize. Bless me, I guess. Okay, so apparently no detailed camera stuff yet. That's one thing that I was a little bit excited to see, but overall, I'm not too surprised. People still need some time, and apparently they really didn't have the time during the event to actually look into this stuff. As always, you can let me know what other good reviews are out there, or even like the preliminary content, like these early hands-on things. I think Dave 2D had some.
Is very crop that, so I'm pretty stiff and normal, almost like the same material block. The images do look good though, and having extra
did he post some comparison actually? Everybody apparently just used what they had lying around. So
the colors are limited this year. There is no black color capabilities.
Really? You're not going to compare it to anything? You're just going to show it? Oh, you freaking teases. Okay, guys, I guess we'll have to wait, which is fine. I had hoped to give you some more material because we've been covering so much already from the event, the aftermath of me buying new tech, the discussions about performance with benchmarks for A19, A19 Pro, even some benchmarks from the competition to compare it against. And I would have loved to give you more. Obviously, I did give you the unboxing, pretty simple stuff, given that, I mean, it's just in here. But yeah, still feel pretty good about this device. We'll definitely give you some deeper insights into it once I start using it. Once I get my 17 Pro Max, hopefully I do get it as quickly as possible. Seems like there are no new leaks or rumors or reviews or big content drops for us to cover. No, it doesn't seem like it. Anything here? No. Good. Then I think I can wrap this up soon. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for providing me with a very lively live chat. So I knew your opinions, your questions, your agreements, your disagreement. That meant a lot. Thank you to anyone who joined the Discord based on my recommendation. That was quite cool. I'll definitely connect with you guys over there more. I am taking at least tomorrow off. I might be back on Saturday evening, but I'll probably be back on Sunday or Monday evening. Depends a little bit on if Mark Gurman posts something really interesting on Sunday. I don't think so. He'll probably just gonna write a summary of the Apple event and some of his very important thoughts about it. Yeah. Beyond that, I'm just really grateful that so many of you guys have been tuning into some of my recent videos. Our overall view count is terrible, but that's because the YouTube algorithm seems to be really fucking with live streams. Like when you just post them unedited, which is what I do on this channel, it seems like it just stops recommending them almost immediately after they get uploaded. So I really rely more than ever on you guys watching live, considering supporting me. So thank you so much for any of that. And before you leave, do the YouTube jazz. Please don't just comment live, but also comment afterwards. That helps tremendously with the algorithm. I'll try to leave some timestamps, but I also have to grab a snack because once again, I just came from the gym before I started the video. So I need some sugar in me. Yeah, and as always, let me know what else you would like to see me cover, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Giving you big Mark one last time, and holding up the new TechWoven case in blue for the 17 Pro Max. And this is Mark Tech tuning out.